What if I told you that the moment you let him go is the exact moment he starts to fall for you? Not when you beg, not when you prove your worth, not even when you give him everything he says he wants, but when you stop chasing, stop waiting, and stop trying to convince him. Something shifts. And that shift is magnetic. I am Liz Rose, a relationship expert, author, and researcher of emotional dynamics between men and women. For years, I have studied attraction, male behavior, emotional intelligence, and the patterns that bring people together or drive them apart. Today, I want to share with you what I have learned through my research, my professional experience, and the thousands of stories I have encountered throughout my journey. Most women are taught that love means holding on, fixing, giving more, being available. But here is the truth. Nobody teaches us. Sometimes love is knowing when to walk away and meaning it. When you do, you activate a powerful force. Most people never tap into it. I call it feminine detachment. It is not cold, it is not manipulation, it is not playing games. It is self-respect in motion, and men feel it deeply. In my research, I have found that most men do not fall hardest when they have you. They fall hardest when they lose access to the version of you who loved them deeply and walked away anyway. In this script, I want to show you why that works, the psychology behind it, the emotional triggers, the patterns high-value women naturally follow that cause men to reevaluate everything after she is gone. If you have ever been the woman who gave too much and got too little, or if you are simply done trying to prove your worth to someone who cannot see it, stay with me. By the end, you will not just understand the power of letting go, you will own it. Let's dive in. When he pulls away. When a man starts to pull away, most women immediately go into panic mode. You feel it in your chest, that tight, anxious feeling that something is slipping through your fingers. The texts slow down, the calls become less frequent, and suddenly, you are questioning everything. Did I say something wrong? Did I come on too strong? Is he losing interest? Here is what is actually happening, and in my experience, it has far more to do with him than it does with you. Through my work, I have observed that men often retreat when they begin to feel emotionally overwhelmed, unsure, or when they hit a depth of connection that forces them to confront feelings they may not be ready to deal with. It is not always logical. It is often unconscious, and it triggers a deep internal conflict, the desire for closeness versus the fear of vulnerability. So what do a lot of women do when this starts? They overcompensate, they text more, they initiate everything, they try to fix the vibe, but every time you do that, you are stepping further into his avoidance and away from your own self-worth. Men need space to process their emotions, but more importantly, they need to feel what your absence does to them, because emotional clarity does not always come through closeness. Sometimes it only comes through distance. And here is the twist. When you do not chase, when you let the silence speak, you are actually creating the perfect environment for him to reconnect with his own desire. Not obligation, not guilt. Pure internal motivation. This is why walking away, or even just pulling your energy back, can be so effective. It forces him to sit in the discomfort of missing you. It invites him to choose you without your prompting. And most importantly, it keeps your power intact. Because the moment you stop trying to convince someone of your value is the moment they start to question why they did not see it sooner. The pullback is not rejection, it is a test, and how you respond determines whether you stay a convenience or become unforgettable. Why men realize it. It is one of the most frustrating truths in dating and relationships. Men often realize what they had after it is already gone. By the time they understand the depth of your love, your loyalty, and your presence, you are already walking away, or worse, already healing. So why does this happen? In my research, I have found that men do not fall in love the same way women do. Emotionally, most women connect as they get to know someone. They build closeness through communication, consistency, and shared moments. Men, on the other hand, often connect through reflection. They do not always recognize the emotional weight of a relationship until they are no longer in it. During the relationship, they may take your effort for granted. They assume you will always be there, answering the phone, forgiving the disappointment, showing up with your heart wide open. You become part of their routine, part of their comfort zone. And when something feels secure for too long, without being challenged, human nature kicks in. They stop valuing it. It is not that you were not enough. It is that your love was too accessible, too reliable, too unconditional, in a world where most people are used to chasing what they cannot have. Then comes the silence, the shift, the moment you stop reaching out, the moment you stop trying to hold it all together. At first, he might not even notice. He thinks it is just a phase. But slowly, the absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. No more texts, no more checking in, no more you. And it hits him, not all at once, but in quiet, painful ways. He remembers the way you laughed when he was being ridiculous, the way you always understood what he meant, even when he did not say it right, the way you made him feel safe without ever asking for it in return. That emotional labor, that love, is not something he can simply go out and replace. And suddenly, the women he meets feel empty. They do not match your energy. They do not see him like you did, because he is not just missing a woman, he is missing you. But by now, you are glowing differently, healing, growing, evolving. You are no longer the version of yourself who tolerated confusion, mixed signals, or breadcrumbs. And that is what stings the most, because he does not just miss you. He misses a version of you that no longer exists. From everything I have studied, men realize too late because they are often not taught how to emotionally connect until they lose something real. They are taught to prioritize the chase, the ego, the conquest, not the depth. And by the time they look for depth, it is already gone. So if he is starting to notice your absence, good. Let him feel the weight of what he mishandled. Because you are always the prize, and sometimes the only way he sees it is after you have left the table for good. The high-value woman effect. There is something undeniably magnetic about a high-value woman. And no, it is not about looks, money, or how many followers she has. Her power does not come from what she wears or what she posts. It comes from the energy she carries. A high-value woman is a woman who knows who she is, and more importantly, acts like it. When a man meets a woman like that, he may not always realize it right away. At first, she seems subtle, maybe even a little mysterious. She is not the loudest in the room. She is not trying to prove anything. But over time, it becomes clear. She is different. She is rare. She is unforgettable. The high-value woman does not chase. Not because she is playing hard to get, but because she genuinely understands that someone who wants her will make the effort. She does not beg for attention, over-explain her worth, or sit around wondering if she is too much. She's not afraid to walk away from anything that threatens her peace. And that alone makes her stand out in a world full of people desperate to be chosen. She does not tolerate mixed signals because she is not afraid of being alone. Her life is already full of passion, goals, standards, and boundaries. And when a man enters her world, he has to rise to meet her, not the other way around. Here is where the effect really hits. Most men are used to women trying to be chosen, to please, to prove, to play the cool girl who does not ask for much. So when they meet a woman who does not need them, but chooses them, it shakes them deeply. That is what makes her unforgettable. She will support you, but she will not lose herself in you. She will love you, but never at the cost of her own needs. She is warm, but not naive, kind, but not a pushover. And if she walks away, she does not slam the door. She simply stops showing up because she already knows her worth, and she is not about to sit where she is undervalued. This kind of woman forces a man to step into his best self or risk losing her. Not every man is ready for that. Some will pull away, some will fumble, some will come back months or even years later, trying to reconnect with the energy they could not appreciate at the time. But by then, she is usually moved on because she is not interested in going backward. She is building, evolving, expanding. She knows what she brings to the table, and she is not afraid to eat alone. What makes this effect so powerful is that it is not performative. She's not pretending to be confident while secretly craving validation. Her energy is real, rooted, unshakable. And even if she still has insecurities, like all of us do, she does not let them dictate her standards. She does not chase potential. She does not cling to what is not choosing her back. And she definitely does not settle for breadcrumbs when she knows she deserves the whole bakery. Men remember her because she represents something they did not know they needed, a woman who does not need to be completed. And whether he realizes it in the moment or far too late, the one thing he knows for sure is this: he will never forget her. The beginning of obsession. There is something almost ironic about the moment a woman finally walks away. It is quiet. It is not loud or dramatic. There is no final argument, no last attempt to be understood, just a shift, a calm, grounded decision to remove herself from what no longer aligns. And that right there, that moment, is when the obsession begins. Men do not become obsessed when you are constantly available, waiting on them, or begging for clarity. They become obsessed when the access they once took for granted disappears. Because when you walk away, you interrupt a pattern. You shatter the illusion that you will always be there, no matter how inconsistent or careless they were. And suddenly, he is no longer in control of the dynamic. You are. Through years of studying this pattern, I have come to understand it through what I call the pain of loss. People feel the pain of losing something far more intensely than they feel the pleasure of gaining it. So when a man senses he is losing you, his mind kicks into a kind of emotional panic. He may not even know why he is spiraling, but deep down, he is feeling the sudden void where your love, energy, and presence used to be. Here is where it gets more powerful. When a high-value woman walks away, she does not just leave physically, she takes her energy with her. And that is what he is really chasing. It is not about just having you back. It is about getting back to the way he felt when he had access to you. Because your love was not ordinary. Your vibe was not replaceable. And even if he acted like he did not care while you were there, now that you are gone, he cannot stop thinking about you. That is the thing. Obsession does not come from overexposure. It comes from withdrawal, and when you remove yourself from the equation, you give him the rare opportunity to feel the full weight of your absence. No texts, no reactions, no emotional safety net, just silence. And in that silence, he starts remembering everything: your smile, your presence, the way you listened when no one else did, the way you believed in him, even when he did not believe in himself. You are no longer just that woman he dated. You become a symbol, a mirror of everything he could not handle when he had it. Now, does this mean walking away always leads to obsession? Not necessarily. It depends on how much emotional impact you had on him. But if you were real, present, nurturing, and authentic, chances are your departure hit deep. Because in my experience, men do not obsess over women who beg. They obsess over the ones who disappear with dignity. That is what stays on his mind at night. Not the woman who tried to win him over, but the one who never needed to. And here is the twist. When you walk away from a place of self-worth, not spite, it leaves the door open for him to reflect, evolve, and realize he was never the one holding the power. You were. So while he might try to act like he is fine, watch his behavior. Is he watching your stories, but not reaching out? Is he suddenly interested in what you are doing? Is he showing up in your orbit again, trying to casually reconnect? That is not a coincidence. That is obsession, sparked not by your presence, but by your absence. And the most beautiful part is this: you are no longer walking away to get a reaction. You are walking away because you finally remembered who you are. The pick-me trap. Let's talk about a trap almost every woman has fallen into at some point. I call it the pick-me trap. You might not have named it that at the time, but you have probably felt it. The subtle or not so subtle urge to mold yourself into what you think a man wants, just so he will choose you. It starts small. Maybe you downplay your standards to seem chill. You laugh at things that do not feel right. You shrink your needs, ignore red flags, and tell yourself you are just being understanding. You start to accept less, not because it feels good, but because you are afraid that asking for more will push him away. That is the trap. The woman caught in it is not weak. She is just stuck in a mindset that says love has to be earned through sacrifice. She thinks if she is cool enough, pretty enough, patient enough, low maintenance enough, he will finally wake up and see her worth. But here is the hard truth I have learned through years of observing these patterns. A man who can only love you when you are shrinking yourself is not a man who is capable of loving you fully. This trap convinces you to trade your authenticity for approval. It turns dating into a performance instead of a partnership. You are no longer asking, do I actually like him? Instead, you are asking, what can I do to make him like me? And the problem with that is simple. You cannot attract the right person while pretending to be someone you are not. Men might be drawn to a pick-me woman at first because she is easy to please, low pressure, always available. But over time, that energy becomes predictable and worse, forgettable. Why? Because it lacks depth, it lacks boundaries, it lacks self-respect. Real men, emotionally available, and grounded men are drawn to women who have a clear sense of self. Women who know what they want. Women who do not fear losing someone who is not showing up. Because that confidence, that unbothered, grounded energy is rare and it is magnetic. Avoiding this trap does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop overgiving. It means you start asking, is this person even capable of meeting me where I am at? Instead of, what more can I do to make him stay? And here is the twist. When you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself, everything shifts. You begin to attract from a place of truth. Yes, some people will fall away. That is okay, because the ones who stay are choosing the real you, not the filtered, watered-down version who is terrified of being too much. Stepping out of this trap requires courage. It means facing the fear that if you show up fully as yourself, with your standards, your values, your energy, some people will not want it. And you know what? Some will not. But the ones who do will not just pick you. They will respect you. They will value you. They will show up because they want to, not because you bent over backward to convince them. So if you find yourself chasing validation, compromising your values, or waiting on breadcrumbs, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to be chosen or am I choosing me? Because the minute you stop auditioning for love, you become the woman who does not just get picked. You become the woman who chooses who is worthy of her access. And that is the energy that changes everything. Detachment versus disinterest. Let's get real about something that is often misunderstood in the dating world. Detachment versus disinterest. Too often, women try to reclaim their power by being unbothered, by going cold, withholding affection, or playing hard to get in an effort to protect their hearts. And while that can feel like strength, what is really happening underneath is a blur between healthy detachment and emotional disinterest. So let me make this clear. Detachment is a boundary. Disinterest is an exit. When you are detached, you are still open to love, connection, and intimacy, but you are not obsessed with the outcome. You are not chasing. You are not performing. You are showing up as your full self and allowing others to do the same without gripping too tightly. Detachment says, I am here because I choose to be, not because I need to be. Disinterest says, I do not care if you are here or not. I have already checked out. The energy is completely different. A detached woman feels deeply, but she does not lose herself in the process. She gives space. She receives love but never begs for it. She knows her value and she lets her energy speak louder than her words. That confidence is not cold. It is calm. It is rooted. It is magnetic. On the flip side, disinterest feels like emotional unavailability. It is guarded. It is dismissive. It is indifferent. It creates distance, not to protect peace, but to avoid connection. And trust me, people can feel the difference. Men can feel the difference. Detachment invites a man to rise up and choose you because he sees your value and respects your space. Disinterest pushes him away, often permanently, because it communicates, I do not want this, I am already gone. Sometimes we blur the line between the two because we have been hurt. We build walls and call them boundaries. We shut down emotionally and label it as standing in our power. But real power is not in disconnecting from love. It is in loving wisely. Here is the truth I have come to through my own research and lived experience. You can be deeply connected to someone and still be detached. You can care, love, hope, and still walk away the moment you feel you are being disrespected or undervalued. That is detachment. It does not mean you do not feel. It means you do not cling. You do not fall into the spiral of overanalyzing texts, chasing closure, or trying to fix someone who does not want to be fixed. You let people show you who they are, and you respond with discernment, not desperation. Disinterest, though, is when you stop caring altogether. You stop investing, stop nurturing, stop showing up emotionally, even when you are still physically present. It is when you have emotionally checked out but have not walked away yet, and that creates confusion, both for you and for the other person. So ask yourself, am I setting healthy emotional boundaries, or am I building walls so high no one can reach me? Detachment empowers you. Disinterest isolates you. Detachment says, I love myself enough to not force what is not meant. Disinterest says, I do not even want to try. When you master the art of intentional detachment, you are not removing yourself from love. You are simply removing yourself from anything that threatens your peace. And that is the sweet spot where attraction grows, where a man sees you as someone he wants to pursue, not because you're playing games, but because your energy is clear, grounded, and self-honoring. So be mindful of the line. Be aware of the energy you are putting out. Because the goal is not to stop caring. The goal is to care deeply, just never at your own expense. Walking away with power. Let's end with the truth most people avoid. Walking away is not weakness. It is one of the highest forms of self-respect, because there is a power, a quiet, undeniable power in the woman who chooses herself. Not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but because she finally realizes that staying where she is not seen, chosen, or valued is the real loss. Walking away with power does not mean you did not love deeply. It does not mean you did not try. It means you gave what you could, and when it was no longer being received with care, you took your heart back. And that is bold, that is sacred, that is strength, because anyone can stay. Anyone can beg. Anyone can lose themselves trying to hold on to someone who is already drifting. But it takes a woman with clarity to stand up, straighten her crown, and say, I deserve more than this. You see, the woman who walks away with power is not looking over her shoulder. She is not hoping he comes running. She is not performing detachment. She embodies it. She walks with grace, knowing that her worth is not determined by how someone treated her, but by how she chooses to move forward. There is something magnetic about that, because while she might be grieving privately, she refuses to let that pain redefine her. She does not turn cold. She does not lose her softness, but she also does not settle. She lets the pain grow her, not shrink her. And here's what men eventually realize, sometimes too late. The moment she walks away is the moment they finally see her. Because the light they once ignored is now gone. The peace they once had access to is no longer available. The warmth, the effort, the presence, all gone. Not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. That is what haunts them. Because she was not just another woman. She was the one who knew how to love without losing herself. The one who saw them clearly, even when they could not see themselves. And when she left, she did not just take her time or her affection. She took back her energy, the very thing that made her unforgettable. And that right there is the shift. You do not walk away to teach him a lesson. You walk away because you learned yours. You learned that staying is not loyalty if it costs you your dignity. You learned that chasing love drains the very love you are trying to protect. You learn that you cannot force someone to meet you at the level you have outgrown. Walking away with power is not about winning or losing. It is about choosing alignment over attachment, self-respect over confusion, peace over potential. And from that space, you do not just attract better, you become better. So if you're at that edge, wondering if letting go means giving up, hear this. Letting go of what is not choosing you is not giving up. It is leveling up. It is you deciding that your love, your time, your soul are sacred, that your story deserves more than half love, and maybe that you would rather walk alone in truth than stay together in illusion. And when you walk away with that kind of clarity, you do not lose power. You become power. So wherever you are right now, whether you are healing, hurting, or rising, just know the strength is already within you. And walking away might just be the most powerful thing you ever do.